Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with Haikyuu Season 4. We're on Episode 3, and let's address the elephant in the room first of all, my hair, because obviously it is looking a hell of a lot different, and normally I'll wear a hat, and I have been doing in a lot of vids recently, mainly because it's been just getting long and I've just been too lazy to go actually get it cut. But I noticed because it's actually been growing, it's actually past the length now, but it's at a pretty decent length, and my natural roots are actually coming back in. So I've actually got a Kenma haircut, pretty much. I mean, it is a bit long, like, you know, at the back here. It's a bit longer than Kenma's, I would say. Not by much though. I mean, it's not far off, is it? So I thought, fuck it, just for this episode and this episode only, I'll go with a Kenma look, just because, you know, I felt like doing something different today. And yeah, that's that. So anyway, what happened in episode 2? Okay, so we had obviously Hinata. I think the big thing mostly was Hinata was getting a lot of you know, like different sort of advice from a lot of different like characters, and a lot of them were sort of like what I would consider almost like harsh encouragement, which generally I feel like works in Hinata's favor anyway, because he's a character that has always been sort of looked down upon anyway because of the sport that he plays, and obviously with his height and everything like that. But mostly I think it was he was in need of a perspective change, and judging by obviously the last sort of scene of of episode 2, it seems like he's changed that that sort of perspective, but we don't know to what degree, because that was like literally the last scene, wasn't it? So so yeah, I mean, that was pretty much the almost the sort of be all end all of that episode. You know, Hinata basically, he's focusing so much on volleyball, like wanting to be a part of the you know, the youth program that they've got going on there, when in reality he's supposed to really be a ball boy and like doing his job. So I almost feel like in this episode he is going to be not focusing on the match, like, you know, as in wanting to get in and involved, and more actually doing his duties and whatnot, and maybe people will start looking at him a different way. Maybe the coach, I don't even have his name down, but the Shiratorizawa coach, maybe, I don't know, maybe he'll end up putting him in. But you know, he's still kind of giving him a hard time because of obviously the nature of that whole thing with him in the past being too short and basically giving way to people who actually have height and can do so. And obviously Hinata proved him wrong in season 3, so he's still giving him a hard time for that. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about, so we're just going to get straight into episode 3 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Oh yeah, also, if you do want to watch the reaction, then you know, you can do. Obviously it's in the bottom left there. The footage is still transparent. That's what's going to be throughout the season, you know, just because it's easier for me to do it that way with a lot of different variables over on Vimeo and stuff like that. But if you do want to go watch the full length, then you can do. Link will be in the description below. So so yeah, without further ado, let's get in episode 3 and see what we get. Oh. It's just that look. Perspective.
俺はコートにいない。コート上の誰でもない。ただボールを追ってるだけじゃダメだ。もっとこう全体を。わあ！リバス、洗濯機に入れたままだ。分け出し。上がんなかったけど反応してる。ブロックに合わせて動く。
うまいやつはスパイ
He's paying
ク
attention.
ホームとかからコースを読むのもうめえんだ。
そういえば野谷さんを後ろから見るってあんまないな。ボールばっか見てたし。
セミサービスエース取ってね。セミってなんだ、やめろ。
強烈なの来る。
ナイスレシーブ。
It was nice. He was like tiptoes. It was very like slight movement. It's like slight movements to get in. Yeah, like very slight movements to get into position to the perfect.
行くぞ。ちゃんと返せ下手くそ。
容赦なしかよ。でもボール打たれるってなるとなんか身構えて足止まっちゃうんだよな。
それなら足を地面から離せばいいよ。テニスの基本的な動きだ。
Carries across into a different sport.
今以上に目立つプレーばっかりやりたがってたからな。俺のアホ。
Detroit smash.
ストラップスプラットステップ。
スプリットステップ。グロいわ。
相手のボールインパクトの瞬間、足を地面から一瞬離すことで自分の動きをリセット。
Reset with your form. Okay.
一歩目を弾き出す。
Well, he stopped it dead. Dude, he's learning. Receiving as well, which is like something that he's never really pulled off before.
キュースの人ブロックに動くタイミング早っ。改めて見ると月島と全然違う。こっちはステップとか入れてる感じじゃないんだよな。うまいレシーブも同じじゃない。今までずっとボールだけを追ってた。でもコートの中には情報がいっぱいだ。
So that you're not going to be able to see unless you're off the court.
じゃあね、つとむ。また来るよ。
呼ばれてねえやつに飯も寝床もねえからな。
はい。
寝床はあるよね。普通の合宿より人数少ないし、どうせ雑魚寝ちゃん。
日向翔陽はないチャンスを作りに来た。それがうまくいったかはさておき、選ばれないということが奴の現状で。
ちょっとだけ自主練付き合ってくれよ。
遠慮します。
俺やるけど。
金田一。
Nice.
自主練すか。俺拾いますよ。
やったー。
I can notice the difference in our style and Hinata, like, but
お前はやんねえの。前のキレッキレのストレート見せてくれ。ブロックでストレート警戒してても止めらんねえのな。
久しくなかったこの感じ。冷たい先輩や
yeah, he's
先輩に囲まれて忘れていない。
yeah, he must love this. I was going to say it because I wasn't sure it was going to be that easy with Goshiki, but
まずは1。長松のブロックがあるから少しはコースが絞れる。ボールの落下点にどれだけ早く入れるか。
I like this. I like that as like
スパイカーをよく見て。
focusing on some receiving.
タイミング
Yeah, that was a bit late.
ジャンプするのが目的じゃない。遅い遅い。押しキレキレストレート来る。いやこれ多分
Cross. Yeah. Oh, great.
ストレートにはブロックがいて、でトスが少し短かった。いつものアンテナキレキレには打てない。トスからコースが分かることもあるぞ。俺の筋肉は今まさに回復したがっている。今何を食えばいい。
はいよ。どうした？
コーチ、俺は何を食べればいいですか。
ああ？
すいません、コーチに聞いてもいいですか。
俺に聞かずに誰に聞くんだ。
Yeah, I mean, it runs a store, you know.
それとタンパク質。今はコンビニでも買えるプロテインがある。と同時に必要なのが糖質。
家に帰ってちゃんとした飯を食う。
Yeah, he remembers that bit. Well, he seems proud of him. I like the little intricacies that the show goes into, like, you know,
ちょい待ってろよ。
like the proper like eating pattern and stuff like that, you know. Well, like you know, taking in protein and stuff.
ここがいつもの体育館だろうが、親善の体育館だろうが、東京体育館だろうが、同じ動作ができるようにすり込め。
Well, it talked about like home advantage and stuff. Well, maybe not to that detail, but still kind of makes sense though, right? Ah, Yamaguchi. I remember the last time I saw Tanaka serve.
本格的にやるようになってからのルーティンが無駄にかっこいいんだよな。
Yeah, all that for it to hit the net.
トス、ちょっと高いから打ち下ろせない。くそー、
Nice.
出たのに。
初日とは動きが段違いだな。もともと身体能力は非常に高いんだろうが、本能任せに近かった動きには
It all fits in the word for what you said before about information, right?
経験を伴ううちにどこかで本能とは似て異なる。
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
感という
I love it when it isn't just physical strength. So humble. To like to
試合になったらもっとごちゃっとするし、ギリギリまで誰が打ってくるかわかんねえよな。そこはテニスと違う。
well, there's more players in there.
男子は
So
ボールのスピードも速い。そういう時スプリットステップを入れてる余裕ってあるのかな。
well, that's where the intuition comes into it, right?
どうだい？妖怪の子供は頑張ってるかい？
妖怪
俺たち
Oh god. Fucking hell.
確かに
That's nice to see. I was expecting Ushijima to like have that sort of image though, like in his head.
お前なんでそんな風にやんの？
俺は影山を倒すと決めたからな。
確かにあいつはすげえけど、今頃ボコボコにされてっかもしんねえよ。
I would like to go see actually. See. Yes! Set up what's his name? At that level, I suppose, anyway. Go.
癖でついすいません。このくらい入ってきて当然だろ
It was-
と言わんばかりのセットアップ。一人だけ試合中みたい。ああ、嫌だ。こいつを見てると何かやらなきゃいけない気がしてくる。
俺はコートの一角を任された。レシーバーだ。
Nice. They just spiked that. Oh no! Oh, that was an unfortunate bounce. Oh god.
おい。ちょっと付き合ってくんない？
At the end. Fuck! Damn it! Okay, episode 3. Right, I'm already interested in and liking the idea how they're actually focusing on Hinata sort of receives as his almost form of training. Because obviously that was one part of his game that he hasn't really focused on at all since the beginning of the show. So that's really cool to notice. Also, it completely went a different way to what I actually expected. When, like, obviously in the pre-discussion of this episode, I was wondering, like, to what degree his perspective was actually changing. And I guess the idea was that beforehand, where he was just wanting to be on the court and sort of putting himself almost in the game visually, and as opposed to actually taking notice of what other people were doing, he was actually just putting himself in the situation and just acting like he was, what I would have done, or I suppose. So not really focusing and paying attention on the little sort of details and the sort of intricacies of the play. But like, I just love the fact that it isn't focusing entirely on spiking and all of that and everything that goes on at the net, but things that go on towards the back end of each side of the court. So that's really nice to see. So yeah, we had I guess like just continuing on with that. So yeah, Hinata's observation, and immediately like picking up on like, oh yeah, it's interesting that I've never really saw. I've completely lost it. It's why I can't Nishinoya. That's the one. Fucking hell, man. God, there's like so many characters now. Oh god, right. So yeah, seeing Nishinoya from behind, like it's something that he's never really done before because obviously he's always been sort of like, you know, he's always been like either in the front or just not taking notice of like, you know, receiving or the sort of like more defensive work. You know, that goes on at the back of each court. So yeah, so the split step thing that was obviously carrying on from like comparisons to different sports and stuff like that, which is like a, you know, what you would call like a slight jump in order to reset your form and flatten your feet like at the exact point in which the ball is coming towards you, which is interesting. Yeah, so like the idea there is, I noticed like obviously when you're doing these like tiny little jumps, obviously the movement in your feet is very slight, and it's just really your tiptoes. Like if you notice that tennis players, they're always on their tiptoes because it allows for like sort of maneuverability and more maneuverability around the court. Like if you've got your feet like sort of like planted flat on the ground, your maneuverability like it's not as keen in going like either way, you know what I mean? But if you're on your tiptoes, like you can roll your feet around, whereas if you're planted, you can't really do that. So yeah, I've always liked it when you know, when you can compare like different sports and how you know, obviously it's not the same for absolutely everything, but generally in terms of like movement and stuff like that, because obviously we are all just humans playing different sports, generally it's the movement that generally can remain, you know, very like the same across like all sports. Obviously not all sports, but very many of them. So yeah, I like that. I like how it all like sort of comes into play, especially like, you know, back with like Hinata to the days before he like was at Karasuno. So you know, it allows to sort of serve Hinata's sort of story in the background and not just focus on like from like, you know, when he started at Karasuno beyond. It means that he can take lessons from before then, which I actually like. So it's good. I like that. Also, this is the thing, especially as well, like about the show that I really like, is that it doesn't like it's not 100% like sort of all of the time. I feel like they take specific sort of moments and like almost arcs out of you know, like the show to actually focus on like the training aspect, which I really like. You know, and it's a hell of a lot more interesting in this one than the one that was in, was it, I think, season 2. I'm really like enjoying the idea of this one because you're not like situated to your own teams and they're actually like split apart and stuff. So that's really cool. Because obviously, you know, if you're consistently with your own team, you're picking up on all of their different habits, and it can almost become like a hindrance to yourself. Now, obviously, we'll get into that with Kageyama, but the idea is that because you're so focused on like certain players, you almost become like stifled of, you're almost stifling your own limit, like your own like abilities or potential, because you're focusing on setting up certain players for certain players because that's how they do things. Whereas because there is like so many different characters from different schools who all do their own different thing at these training camps, it allows you to sort of you know, like well, who was it? It was the sort of side coach that was talking about it, which he put it perfectly, which is essentially you know, Hinata's like now started to take on that more sort of observational sort of style and gain like sort of information, whereas before he relied mostly on his instincts, which, you know, mixing those two together mixing the instincts and then like the knowledge of when he can see things coming, almost like a mental strength within him that turns into sort of like an intuition. So yeah, like once you can get that like sort of intuition to just basically make yourself stronger, and then across the whole team as well. So yeah, obviously going to Kageyama, I like the fact that it's almost mirrored with Hinata's in a way, that it's still like to do with the whole it's not really mirrored in the sense of like it's exactly the same. It's more along the lines of it's sort of, you obviously have Hinata, who used to rely on his instincts like loads, but you also have Kageyama, who's almost instinctually now become so habitual to setting up tosses for mostly Hinata, which is obviously what he was, that's what he did there when he tossed up the set, expecting obviously somebody to get on the end of it, because he was like, oh yeah, of course. He's become so used to the idea that someone was obviously going to be there to get it, that it's like it was just like his force of habit, which I really like. It really, I think this can serve like really to flesh out Kageyama more, because obviously he's been the character with the innate talent to be able to, I think it's easy to, especially up until this point, to almost like, to kind of just sweep everyone else under the carpet in terms of setters, and just be like, well, clearly nobody's is going to be as good as Kageyama is. Like he's just able to do anything and everything. So I really like this sort of road that they're going down with Kageyama, and yeah, I'm really interested to see more of that. I got excited there for like the little bit that we got, that scene where he was over there, but yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, Tsukushima wants Hinata for something. Trying to like go over my head and really like sort of like what is it that he really wants Hinata for? He says that, can he come with me somewhere? I don't know. I mean, there was always that thing with Hinata and Tsukushima about being like almost like the sun and the moon, right? So but other than that, I don't really know. I mean, what was the quote that he said, like midway through? It wasn't even midway through, it was like a little bit after or something like that, where he just said that like it was just like feeling sort of like uneasy, or like not sure really what to feel about the whole thing. So I'll be interested to see exactly what Tsukushima thinks about I don't know, thinks about this whole thing later, or whether he thinks like Hinata is sort of, I don't know, maybe like wasting his time here. I mean, but I wouldn't have thought so, because Tsukushima's very observational himself. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Tsukushima's like noticing that Hinata is actually starting to like sort of gain that like that way of looking at things that Tsukushima always used to do. Like that's Tsukushima's thing. Like his whole thing has been observation throughout like the whole, that was a huge thing in the Shiratori-Zawa match. So I don't know, maybe it is something to do with that, but we'll see. Because it will be nice to actually have that sort of like camaraderie between them. You can always have Tsukushima be that, that character that can dip into the, the Suki like personality and have him be that way inclined. But it would be nice to obviously have that camaraderie between the, because at the end of the day they are teammates, so but yeah. And then the last thing I got was obviously I put down like Ushijima almost being like a proud parent, which is actually nice to see, what I mean, like relating them two to monsters, and then like the image that he had in his head of them actually being like monsters, what I mean, it just brings Ushijima like almost like back down to earth a bit, because for like the longest time they obviously people, and still people do that, like they put him on a pedestal of this guy who is just like this straightforward, like he almost has no personality. And I think that was obviously written that way on purpose, but it's nice to see him like almost like see that little bit of insight into like inside of his character, like and see like almost like another side of him. But it's nice to see that almost like proud parent thing. He's a slight smile on him. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was really cool. But yeah, I mean that's all I've got for that episode. So yeah, really cool, really enjoying this. And we'll get these next episodes out very briefly This one should be out today. I'm recording this on Saturday, so Saturday the 15th. So it should be out today. If it is out today, then look for possibly episode 4 tomorrow and episode 5 if I have time. And yeah, enjoy that. But yeah, that's all I got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I've links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards there that you can go look at, and depending on how much you support me, you can gain access to those tiers and all of the little bells and whistles and things that come with it. So obviously, like, there's the early access tier for $5 a month. I'm going to be getting caught up to this show because obviously I fell behind a bit due to like lack of time and stuff. So I think episode 6 is out. Yeah, episode 6 has just been released today, I think. So what I'll do is I'll try and get out episode obviously 4 and 5 tomorrow, and then episode 6 will be available for early access over on my Patreon for a week until episode 7 comes out, and then episode 6 will get released to the public, and then so on and so forth. You get what I mean. There's also a full length tier there for $10 a month, which means obviously you can go watch this whole thing in full length, uncut and all of that, and because obviously it'll just be like a 10-minute cut down edited version. And then there are other tiers where you can pay to have a show reacted to. So if you want me to react to a show, go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. But that's all I've got, so thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.